hate when it does this. Okay. Well, finally. Jeez, man. Took me three freaking reloads just to get this thing to fucking load. I hate when that happens. All right. So I don't know if you'll be able to pop on or not, son. But if you do, you're welcome to do so. Just as always, I don't know how long I'm going to be up, but all right, I'm going to read some more of this so I can hurry up and get start getting through the book more consistently. And since Dad's not here right now and he's in the hospital, I'm taking this opportunity to do my stuff like this at night because this is the only time I can do it because the day is always so busy. The cone of power. You will often hear witches discussing the cone of power. This cone of energy manifests when a single witch or a group of witches work magic or ritual together. Imagine a group of people standing together in a circle. People who can dance well stand at strategic points in the circle. A candle sits on the floor in the middle of the circle, named for a magical intention such as healing, prosperity, etc. The group of people dance around the candle in a diacetyl clockwise pattern until they believe they have created enough energy to send into the universe to make the change they desire. If the group of people have gathered to banish something, they begin dancing diacetyl clockwise to unite themselves in a common cause, and finish widdershins counterclockwise, a predetermined amount of rounds of each. Then the people form a line with hands and rush toward the candle, shouting the thing they want or don't want. Does this sound silly? Did you notice that I didn't say these people were witches? Any group of people can use song, dance, chanting, or prayer to create energy. Whether those people participate in a rock concert, go dancing at a school fling, watch or participate in a sports event, sit in a church service, or whirl around in a square dance in the school gym. Most of the people involved in any of these activities don't realize that they are raising energy, and so that energy dissipates into the universe without focused cause or good use. So basically it's wasted. Witches draw power from several sources, including spirit, the elements, the ancestors, and the angels. Any individual in any religion can draw power from these same sources. Witches use their own power, the power of the mind, to manifest what they need, whether they participate in a group environment or work alone. Daily devotions. Most witches practice what we call daily devotions, where we take at least 5 to 10 minutes twice a day to reaffirm our faith and talk to spirit. Sometimes we do our daily devotions at our altar. You don't need to cast a magic circle for this. Or we may walk outside and do our devotions there. It doesn't matter where you do your devotions as long as you do them. Your devotions can begin with a prayer you have written yourself, or you can just relax and talk to God in your own way. Some witches sing, hum, or chant. You don't need to be a witch to practice daily devotions. Any religion has room for such a practice. You might begin by saying, "Blessed are my feet which walk the path of the Lord and Lady. Blessed be my knees that kneel at the sacred altar. Blessed be my heart that beats the drum of compassion. Blessed be my lips that they may speak the truth. Blessed be my eyes so that they may see the wisdom of spirit. May the love of the Lord and Lady be within and around me as I begin my journey through life this day. So mote it be." The magic circle. The knowledge of the magic circle is one of the greatest gifts given to us by spirit. Conjuring a magic circle represents a mental art of the witches, a technique learned early in our training. The magic circle functions as our church, power, our holy ground, and our place to hold power until we are ready to release that power. This circle also keeps negative energies away from us while we work, so that we may be pure in our intentions. Thanks to misinformation and Hollywood garbage, many people believe that the magic circle represents evil or holds evil. To these people, I say simply, get real. I've got better things to do with my time. Casting a magic circle is very easy, and you will find as you study that there are many ways to conjure your mental temple. Let's watch Angelique, my 17-year-old daughter, as she casts a magic circle. Angelique walks to the center of the room, takes a deep breath, and relaxes into perfect calm. She then walks to the north of the room and holds her dominant hand out from her body, index finger pointing out and down. As she begins to walk the circle in a clockwise direction, speaking the words of the circle casting, she imagines a beautiful hedge springing up as her finger glides along through the air. Angelique says, I conjure thee, O great circle of power, so that you will be for me a boundary between the world of men and the mighty spirits, a meeting place of perfect love, trust, peace, and joy, containing the power I will raise within thee. I call upon the guardians of the north, the east, the south, and the west to aid me in this consecration. In the name of the Lord and the Lady, thus I do conjure thee, O great circle of power. By the time Angelique finishes saying the words, she has walked the circle 3 times. The circle does not have to be as big as the room. The circle can be as small as she likes, as long as she remains standing or sitting within the boundaries. Now Angelique walks to the north quarter of her circle, pounds her hand on the ground, and says, as above, so below, this circle is sealed. Angelique has just affirmed that her circle is a large bubble reaching above her head and below her feet. Once Angelique has cast the circle, she tries not to walk in and out of the energy she has cast. Over time, you will become sensitive to the energies of the circle boundary and feel the difference of having a circle and not having one. If Angelique needs to go get something outside the circle, she will cut a door with her hands, like parting a curtain, and then close the circle from the other side, like letting the curtain fall back into place. She'll get what she needs and then open the circle and close the circle again. Angelique will try not to leave the circle too often, because each time she cuts the door, she weakens the circle's structure. When Angelique is ready to take the circle down, she will walk counterclockwise, starting from the west, moving south, east, then north, drawing the energy back into her finger. When she reaches the west again, she will pound the ground with her hand and say, this circle is open, but never broken, so mote it be. We are the people, we are the power, and we are the change. Merry meet and merry part until we merry meet again. You should perform most magical work and ritual celebrations within a magic circle. After you read the next section about proper preparation, why don't you try casting and releasing the magic circle? Nothing will jump out of the woodwork and bite you, honest. Properly prepared. In the craft, no one may enter a magic circle unless they are properly prepared. This means that a person has either dedicated themselves to spirit, been initiated into the craft by other witches, or is willing to set aside any differences or negativity to work with the witches. To be properly prepared also means that you are willing to talk to spirit about your problems and your triumphs. Finally, properly prepared means that before you entered the magic circle, our church, you have cleansed your mind, body, and spirit of all negativity. Many witches take a ritual bath to cleanse their bodies before they enter the magical circle to show themselves in spirit that they have washed away any impurities. Often when a witch enters a magic circle, another witch anoints his or her forehead and sprinkles water on him or her, saying, may you be cleansed purified, and regenerated. And may the Lord and Lady instill you with their blessings, so mote it be, to symbolize purification. A witch working alone does the same thing. In a Catholic church, believers follow a similar practice with holy water. And then they genuflect to show their reverence to spirit. In a Protestant church, believers often whisper in the sanctuary to show their reverence to spirit. As you can see, different religions honor God in various ways. The oath of secrecy. Many witches, upon their initiation or in their self-dedication ceremony, take an oath of secrecy. Does this mean that they can't tell anyone about anything in the craft? No. Obviously, because I'm telling you a bunch of stuff and I haven't ever broken my oath. So what does this oath entail, and why do you have to take an oath in the first place? If you are familiar with the term confirmation, then you will understand the Wiccan oath. In a confirmation, you tell spirit that you believe in the existence of God and Goddess, and that you will work very hard to create harmony for yourself and for other people in the name of that belief. The same principles apply in the Wiccan oath. The only difference in our oath and the oaths of some other religions is that the craft does not stipulate that you believe in only one kind of God. We think that spirit has many faces, and all faces are holy. Everything in the Wiccan oath could be said in any religion, and has been said by them in their own way at one time or another. If you don't think there's magic in the structured religions, think again. Little old ladies with rosaries can pack a powerful wallet with prayer magic. Gee, bummer. No plastic on the floor, no documents signed in blood, no devil waiting to grind your head under a cloven hoof, no diabolical chanting to make the hairs on your neck rise or your heart slam against your chest in terror. Guess you'll just have to go to the movies for that kind of stuff, huh? The signs and symbols of the craft. Just as the Christians use the cross and fish as their sacred symbols, and the Jewish faith uses the Star of David, the Wiccan faith has sacred signs and symbols that represent spirit. The most misunderstood symbol, of course, is the five-pointed star. Commonly known as the pentagram, point up, a pentacle is a five-pointed star, point up, with a circle around the star. The pentacle stands for earth, air, fire, water, and the spirit of the human, encompassed by the never-ending love, the circle of spirit. Witches often wear this symbol for protection and an affirmation of their faith. Wearing the symbol where everyone can see it isn't necessary. The symbol carries more power if you keep it under your clothes, and causes much less confusion for you if you keep the symbol hidden. Of course, if you wish to wear your pentacle outside your clothing, that's okay too. Some Wiccan traditions put the pentacle in the center of their altars, where others place this symbol in the north, representing prosperity. Still, other traditions don't put the symbol on the altar at all. In the movies, you may have seen the pentacle drawn on the middle of the floor with a candle setting at each point of the pentacle to represent the magic. Okay, so now pay attention to the arrows and the numbers, okay? 1 is at the top, and then it goes. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Then you do the circle. This is the invoking pentagram, or pentagram, sorry. Now this is the banishing pentagram. So you start at the bottom, go up, down, this way, that way, bam, done. And this is called the banishing pentagram. Banishing pentagram would typically be used to banish negative energies and stuff like that. Circle boundaries. In all honesty, most witches don't do this practice. And to be very honest with you, I've never seen this done firsthand. And I've participated in hundreds of rituals all over the United States. Even most witches who have ritual rooms set aside for their magical work or wheel of the year celebrations don't paint the pentacle on the floor. In magic, you can draw a pentagram several ways. The invoking pentagram is most commonly drawn starting at the top of the star. See the numbered diagram on page 31. And the banishing pentagram is done the exact opposite, and that's this one above. Draw the invoking pentagram in the air on a candle or on a piece of paper to bring energies to you. Draw the banishing pentagram in the air on a candle or on a piece of paper to push negative energies away from you. You can also draw the pentagram to invoke the energies of earth, air, fire, and water. But I'm not going to go into those symbols in this book. However, I do want you to know that they exist and are used by many witches. Secrets that aren't secrets anymore, the basics of witchcraft. Okay, I had this corner turned down for some reason. Usually I'll do that to mark a page if I need to. The use of the altar the use of the star or pentacle dates back beyond Christianity to the time of the stellar religions. Stars were also prominent in Egyptian beliefs. The goddess Nuit, for example. Our stars symbolize sacred or celestial fire and can be associated with the Wiccan need fires or bale fires, the representation of stars on earth, therefore melding the energies of earth and heaven together. Heaven being the fire, earth representing the wood used to feed the fire, and the sacred breath, oxygen, to grant continuance of both. The sacred spiral, a very old symbol, represents the dance of divine energy within the world of the witch. Drawn clockwise, the sacred spiral brings things to you. Drawn counterclockwise, the sacred spiral pushes negative energies away from you. The spiral also signifies our ancient journey within, because if we do not know ourselves, then we can never seek to know what may be outside us. Witches often enjoy the spiral dance and ritual, which affirms our belief in the continuation of life through the patterning of a double spiral. So, I'm not sure which one is which, but I'm assuming that this top one is bring energies to you, and the bottom one is to cast them away. But if you do that and it don't seem to work, then just reverse those. Okay. Equal armed cross. See, that's Christian-like, right? The equal armed cross represents another powerful magical symbol. This cross stands for many ideals, the 4 seasons, the 4 directions, the 4 archangels, the 4 winds, the 4 quarters of the magic circle, and more. Drawn in the air or on paper from top to bottom and right to left, with the right hand, the symbol represents healing energies. Drawn from top to bottom and left to right, with the left hand signifies banishing negative energies. A witch also employs the equal armed cross to seal a magical working so that negative energies cannot reverse the positive efforts of the magical person. Triple goddess. Okay. The symbol of the goddess, full moon in the middle, flanked by crescent moons, signifies the feminine aspect of spirit, women's mysteries, and the healing of the divine. Witches use this symbol to connect with the divine feminine and wear the image to show their faith in the lady. Goddess symbol. As you can see, none of these signs or symbols speak of any evil intent, and shame on those who have told you differently. The Book of Shadows. A book of shadows, commonly called the BOS, represents the spiritual testimony of a witch. Before we begin on this topic, I need to tell you that no such thing exists as the Grand Grimoire. A grimoire is another name for the Book of Shadows, but no such grand book exists. That idea came out of, you guessed it, a movie. The Book of Shadows' importance does not lie in the words, though surely these words can function as a key to open your mind. Sure. The Book of Shadows can be the representation of work compiled by a group mind, such as a coven, a tradition, a clan, or a single person. The BOS proves the survival of the tradition, clan, or coven, and of course, yourself. You must live the craft to understand the import of the BOS, which is why most witch traditions, clans, or families do not offer the Book of Shadows until the student has progressed several years in training designed just for them. Come on, page. Dang it. A BOS also represents the oath you took during your ceremony of initiation. The book becomes a physical link to the group mind. However, don't mistake the BOS for the group mind. It is not. If someone steals a BOS, the members of a tradition or clan are not as upset about the material as they are about the unethical act. To remove a piece of the group mind by dishonor is to break the oath taken during the ceremony of initiation. Members of the group will not have to sit and do bad mojo on you. The unethical circumstance will reap its own karma. Books of Shadows don't often carry a copyright, and we have a good reason for this. After all, a BOS can contain many passages you have copied from pre-existing works. Witches rely on each other for material, much as professional writers do. If you can remember to annotate where you got the information for future generations of witches in your BOS, please do so. After all, we want to stay ethical. Items from others often mingle with original material. Depending on how often witches have copied the book, material can be lost or gained. We've seen this in the 9-year cycle of the Black Forest Clan. The BOS our students receive may not be the one given 5 years ago due to the growth of the group. This is another reason we don't have heart failure if the BOS goes where it shouldn't. By the time the BOS gets where the material wasn't supposed to go, the information will be outdated. The BOS becomes a representation of bits and pieces of people all over the world, each giving to the book. You will find a personal BOS, one compiled by yourself, far more valuable than one from any tradition or clan, simply because of the effort you took to put that book together. Your BOS can contain personal experiences, dreams, drawings, calligraphy, revelations, etc. The book will represent the sum of your magical life. You cannot appreciate a tradition's BOS or a coven's BOS until you have written your own. Hence, another reason you will not immediately receive the BOS if you belong to a coven, clan, or tradition, or witch family. You should begin by making your own. Anyone of any faith can make a personal book of shadows. Here you write down prayers you like, things you see that may be magical or spiritual, poems you compose to express your feelings, or drawings you create to touch the spirit within you and the spirit who loves us all. Dedication and initiation. Just how does a person become a witch? Today, we have all sorts of Wiccan SECTSs. Some Wiccans argue that the only way to become a witch involves the initiation process performed for you by a witch, meaning it takes a witch to make a witch. Other Wiccan groups feel that with self-study and honest observance of our laws and customs, an individual can dedicate oneself to the Wiccan faith. The argument over initiation began about 30 years ago when the religion of witchcraft experienced a sudden boost in popularity. At the time, there were not enough traditional teachers to meet the rising interests in the religion. To assist in this tidal wave of interests, several witches came out of the closet and began to write about the craft, feeding as much information as they could to a salivating public. These well-known and respected authors include Raymond Buckland, Sybil Leek, Janet and Stuart Ferrer, Z Budapest, Starhawk, Doreen Valente, Patricia Crowley, Scott Cunningham, Marion Weinstein, Lori Cabot, and others. Through these authors, many individuals can piece together enough information on a modern-day witchcraft to begin their solitary or group practices. Thus, the birth of what we call eclectic Wicca, a form of Wicca where an individual does not belong to a particular tradition, group, or sect. Today, we have as many eclectic practitioners as there are traditional practitioners. Neither grouping can or should be considered better than the other. As defined earlier, an initiation consists of a group of individuals who care enough about a person that they will perform the ceremony of change for them. The initiation procedure primarily belongs to the traditional witches, though some eclectic covens and groups use the initiation procedure. If you belong to a traditional group that has a hierarchy, form of government, then you will most likely go through their initiation ceremonies. And yes, there usually is more than one ceremony. As you learn, you progress through specific levels of training. The highest level, that of eldership, represents a place of honor and skill reserved for older Wiccans, like me. Confirmation and First Communion are familiar ceremonies that coincide with the purpose and mystique of the Wiccan initiation. A dedication, on the other end of the broomstick, normally consists of a ceremony that an individual does for him or herself, to state in ritual that he or she believes in the laws and structure of the craft, and that he or she will try his or her best to follow those laws. Most eclectic Wiccans have enacted some sort of dedication ritual. In a dedication, the individual tells the Lord and Lady or Spirit that he or she is ready to follow the Wiccan way. Some traditional groups also require a dedication period of a year and a day before the individual experiences the initiation ceremony. Neither the dedication ceremony nor the initiation requires a person to give up a previous or current faith. So just what happens in an initiation? Initiation ceremonies vary from group to group. Yet 4 aspects remain the same: the purification, the challenge, the symbolic death and rebirth of the individual, and the oath. A dedication consists of 2 parts: the purification and the testimony of dedication. The High Priestess and the High Priest. In many books on Wicca and witchcraft, especially those dealing with group activities, you will read about the High Priest and the High Priestess. Sometimes the High Priest and High Priestess of a group are married, and sometimes they are not. As no sexual activity occurs during one's fulfillment of duties as either the High Priest or High Priestess, it doesn't really matter if they have taken marriage vows or not. The High Priest and High Priestess function as a team of spirituality, working toward the betterment of the group to whom they have pledged responsibility. Both perform ministerial responsibilities such as counseling, training, and the working of ceremonies and rituals. That's right, our High Priest and High Priestess perform the same function in our religious group as do the ministries and priests in other religious structures. Our special days. Espits, the 13 full moons of the year, hold sacred energies associated with the great goddess and to the moon. Traditionally, these 13 full moons coincide with the 13 espits of the year. These days, many witches hold espits every week or at least twice a month. In some craft traditions, these working nights, called minor feasts, offer an array of food after the ritual. Participants bring all sorts of things to eat and drink, including one hot item such as soup or other covered dish. Espits performed on a full moon represent ritual working occasions at the time when the goddess is at her full power. In some groups, individuals perform their espits alone, with the Sabbats reserved for group activity. In other witch traditions, the entire group celebrates espits and Sabbats together. If you are a witch working alone, you will celebrate the espits and Sabbats by yourself. Espits represent celebrations of creative life force throughout the universe, and during them, witches often work petition and candle magic to achieve their goals. An espit, whether performed solitarily or with a group, gives the witch personal time to link their spirit with deity. If you have not figured it out by now, a one-on-one relationship with spirit is vitally important to any witch. In a group format, witches choose the espit as a working session for coven business, for the teaching of craft history or magical practices, initiations, or for engaging in special magical projects. Whenever possible, the coven or solitary practitioner works within a magic circle to contain the power generated by any workings performed. In a solitary format, witches utilize espit energy to connect with spirit, meditate, or work toward personal goals to enhance the witch's life. Traditionally, witches employ espits to perform divinations for the benefit of themselves, friends, and family members. No matter the solitary or group format, the consecration of cakes and ale, our communion, is customary at espits during the performance of a ritual in a magic circle. These days, most witches do not use alcoholic beverages and prefer a natural beverage, such as fruit juice. Witches perform espits indoors and outside, depending on facilities available and the type of ceremony planned. For coven and solitary magic, witches find espits provide a powerful connection to the goddess, especially if the ceremony falls within the sphere of moon energy. Drawing down the moon by the high priestess is a regular part of highly ritualistic espits in some traditions. In others, any coven member or the entire coven may participate in drawing down the moon ceremony. At a solitary espit, a witch usually draws the energy of the moon into himself or herself. If coven members wish to perform a special ritual, the espit is an appropriate time to do it. Hand fastings or marriages, and wickenings, seinings, or christenings may be done at espits, as well as goddess-oriented rituals. The charging of talismans or amulets, or the consecration of tools, etc. As you can see, the espit provides the foundation ceremony for various magical applications. Performing many different activities during an espit ceremony is usual for a witch, especially if the witch has spell work or consecrations to do. Traditionally, most early American witches spent the evening of the full moon in prayer, personal celebration, and magical workings to draw on in the coming month. They would mix herbs, make magical cords, grind powders, and empower amulets and talismans. Sabbats. In Paleo-pagan times over 4,000 years ago, there were only two fire festivals, Beltane and Samhain, or Samhain, to welcome and to bid farewell to the seasons of birth and death. At the appropriate hour, at the highest point on the land, the people would light the bonfires one by one, until the entire countryside blazed with controlled fires. To many Europeans, the official ceremony began at the dying of the sun, the day before the holiday, and ended 3 days hence at sunset. These fire festivals were associated with planting, harvesting, and hunting ceremonies. Some witches called the first festival days the days of power. As Euro monies, some witches called the fire festival, as European history progressed, two additional holidays were added, Imbolc and Lammas, creating the four fire festivals. German pagans added the equinoxes and solstices, creating 8 high holy days rather than the original 4. During medieval times, church chroniclers decided to turn the history of these pagan events into a weapon of misinformation. They wished to discourage the faithful from entertaining thoughts of celebrating these pagan holidays. The practice of rewriting current and historical events to meet specific needs is called historical revisionism. The church chroniclers practiced historical revisionism by collectively naming the 8 pagan holidays Sabbats. The word Sabbat comes from the French derivation of meaning to frolic or to celebrate. Church officials contended that people who participated in the pagan celebrations were frolicking with the devil, and therefore Sabbats were evil. Many dictionaries and folklore compilations of today still incorrectly associate Sabbats with evil, which truly isn't the case, where others have begun to weed out the historical inaccuracies. The Wicca of today celebrate the 8 festivals, much like our ancestors of the past. The Sabbats track the movement of the sun through the year and are thought to bring good fortune and prosperity according to the segment of the year to which each holiday relates. This means that our Sabbats are seasonally driven and that we use the energies of the changing seasons to enhance our lives. This cycle of growth and death is described as the wheel of the year. Sometimes Wiccans will refer to Sabbats as major feasts because we always have tons of great food to eat after the holiday ceremony. In the ceremonies of many Wiccan traditions, these rituals allow the male energy to come into balance with that of the female energy. The events include a reenactment of a legend associated with the individual holiday. The reenactment or play is based on a story or legend that contains a moral. Not every Wiccan group reenacts the same legend for the same holiday, which can be confusing to the newcomer. And this is the Wheel of the Year. That's got all of them on there. Yule, Imbolc, Spring Equinox, Beltane, Summer Solstice, Lammas, Fall Equinox, and Samhain. In the next section, I list the 8 Sabbats and mention some of the more common themes, but I do not explain the legends, as the legends would take up a book in themselves. I merely mention them so that as you go further in your studies and read other books on Wicca, you will have at least been introduced to them here. The Greater Sabbats. The 4 Greater Sabbats or fire festivals are as follows. Samhain or Samhain, October 31st through November 11th, depending on the tradition and schedule of the group. Number 2, Imbolc, February 2nd, sometimes called Candlemas. Number 3, Beltane, April 30th or May 1st. Lammas is number 4, August 1st. And then the lesser Sabbats, the winter solstice or Yule, which is December 21st, the spring equinox or Ostara, which is March 21st or 22nd. Number 3, summer solstice, June 21st or 22nd. Number 4, fall equinox or Mabon, September 21st or 22nd. Okay, so that was just like a rough, let's see. Wait a second, are we almost? Oh yeah, we're getting there. And I'm going to take a break right there because, again, some of the drawbacks of doing this. On a regular basis, okay. It still causes eye strain. It's a lot of reading, and as you can tell, sometimes my voice will get kind of like a roughness to it and whatever, and that's simply because I've overused it. Because I do talk a lot, but then there's times when I try to be quiet too. Like right now, for instance, I have got to go get me some water and drink it because I've been drinking a lot of pop today, so I need to balance that out with drinking some water. And that's why I always keep this in here. Yeah, I'll just do. Just bear with me, guys. You'll hear my voice, but I have to use the table over here because that's where I got the most room. I'm just taking the lid off my glass and putting in some ice cubes. Okay. Now, I'll be right back. Oh, ouch. Now I'm dropping stuff. I got to take these in. I got to take that in. I'm just refilling the ice trays and rinsing out my other glass here. Okay. I know. But to still be filtered enough. I don't necessarily have to fill it all the way up. Over here. Oh, yeah, I'll get those later. And I hope we got the milk. Hang on, guys. I gotta put my stuff away here. Yep, there it is. Especially the milk. I've got 2.5 gallons of milk here. I gotta get in the fridge. Oh. All right, guys. This goes there. Oh, crap. Oops. Yeah, forgot about all my ice cream. That's probably like fucking half melted right now. Shit. Come on. me, please. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Actually, let me do it this way. Okay. Come on. Because limited space, right? There's that. Well, this is usually the time when I'll tell, any spirits that are here that, wish to manifest or whatever, feel free to do so when I'm not, when I walk away from the camera, because I'm in there trying to get some stuff done. So bear with me, guys. I'm almost finished here. I want to put my betta fish's lid back on because it's nighttime. Okay. Look out, boo. Look out. All right. I would say. That way. This one that way. So that way is the one that's used. Whoops. Ow. Slowly but surely. I need to find somewhere to put these. I don't need them out here. I already got one out here. You're fine, Kalika. You don't have to get up. But whenever you guys see me spray in here, I always do Febreze. And I try to do, heavily scented stuff. Sorry, I was making sure the thing was still going. Yama. What did I do with my water? Crap, I got distracted. Doing other stuff, forgot to grab my water. There's my water. See, this is another misunderstanding I think a lot of people have. Is when you're taking over-the-counter supplements like Midolin, I take Qinol, I do gummy vitamins. I try to keep mine very like as natural as I can get them. Uh-oh. The cats know I got cheddar and sour cream chips and they want some. No. Um, hang on. When you take something like Midolin, you got to take it with lots of water. Because if you don't, it tends to dry you out, dehydrate you, you know. Um, Last thing I ate today was several hours ago, and it was some stuff that Norma had made. She basically made her own version of a breakfast bowl. It was pretty good. And so she brought some up to me. For me to try it, see what I think of it, and see if I like it or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty good. So I decided to have that for my lunch, and then I never did do any kind of a dinner. So I figure I munch on a few chips. That's getting some salt into me, which in turn makes me thirsty. So it helps me to drink the water. So just bear with me while I munch a little bit. I hate how they rip you off when it comes to chips. You're lucky if there's fucking half a bag here. They condense it down so you can do this. Kind of helps loosen it a little bit and makes it look a little fuller at least. Robert, one of my neighbors, is down there cackling in the hall. And of course, my mind goes to, what's so damn funny? I'm listening. Love you, Carmela. Because it's like 15 after 11. But it is a Friday night. Um, oh, oh. So with something like Midolin, you got to be careful. Make sure you do take it with plenty of water. You can take 1 to 2 tablets a day. But for right now, the most cost-effective way to do that, for me anyway, is I only take 1 a day. Same with the Qanol. You can take 1 or 2 a day. But I only take 1. That way the amount lasts longer. So I don't have to like necessarily buy some every month, which can get expensive. Oh. Excuse me. Ow. If I'm not careful, sometimes when I'm chewing on the left side, I'll bite the inside of my cheek, and I hate that. And also, if you don't get enough water in your system, Midolin can make you constipated too. So, because I have eaten so little today, that's how I know the universe is trying to show me, see, you're losing weight. The safe way. The right way, But at the same time, I have to stop myself because I'm so hungry. If I don't stop myself, I could literally eat this whole bag in one sitting. And that's too much. That's backsliding. That's undoing all that you fought so long and hard to lose. Now you're gaining it right back. And I also am trying to slowly but surely break my cats of the habit that every time mommy has food, they're going to get some. So this is a perfect example. Back to our studies here. Just do it segmentally. Read a few pages, take a break, take some notes, think about some questions that maybe you want to ask me at some point that I will do my very best to answer. But I can't promise or guarantee I'll be able to. It all depends on, where else my mind is. And if you're wondering why I'm doing that on the side of my nose, this is Carmex. And I can always tell when I'm starting to get a cold sore because around my nose is one of the places it likes to pop up. And now, maybe, I just thought of that. Thanks, guys. Now that there's no fans on, other than in the bedroom, might actually be able to enjoy my my vampire's blood candle. Bath and Body Works. It's one of their most favored fragrances. They have vampire's blood candles. They have vampire blood body wash. They have vampire blood body spray. They have vampire blood sanitizer. They have vampire blood lotion. It's a real popular scent with a lot of people. So when Halloween comes around every year, Bath and Body Works knows that they better, they better have that out there because we only get it seasonally. Excuse me, but the Carmex, and this is why I like my favorite type of chapstick is Carmex. Because Carmex, if you catch it quickly enough, will kill a cold sore, just like in nothing flat. Okay? And I can't drink any more of my Pepto-Bismol right now until I get some more water drink. But by reading, back to the book, by reading it in segments, read a few pages, take a break, make your notes, just sit and chill for a minute, absorb, let your mind absorb, because it's a lot to process. And, I could read like from beginning to end each chapter, but I'd be so exhausted. My eyes would probably start going cross or something, or I'd fall asleep right here. Sometimes, back to Robert for a minute, sometimes the reason why I was listening earlier is I heard him cackling down in the hall, and I heard a door shut, open or close, the back door, which is the door that we mostly come in and out of, everybody in the building here. I mean, on occasions we'll go out the front, but most of the time it's out the back. And so our back door is our front door, if that makes sense. But anyway, sometimes on a Friday night, even though it's this late at night, it's like 11:25, it's nothing for him to be down there listening to his music, which is fine as long as he keeps it down, because he's got to realize, this might be the weekend, Robert, but that doesn't mean everybody wants to party. That doesn't mean everybody wants all the additional noise that you are now creating, which is disrupting their quiet, And we need to get another chair out there or something, because Robert has a bad habit, even though I understand why he does it, of using the only chair that we have out back for people to sit in or on. He will take it, like if he's out there during the day and the sun, it's kind of hot and the sun's a certain point in the sky, he will take it off the back porch and then he will move it over to a more shaded area. It's cooler there. I get it. But the least he could do is every time he does that, when he goes in for the night, he should do everybody the courtesy that also uses that chair for things to put it back. Because like Krist, when he's home and he gets in and out of the car, just walking from the car to the porch, he has to sit down and rest a few minutes because it takes his breath just to walk those few steps. So if the chair's way over here, that means if I'm not down there, he either has to do without having a chair to sit in, or he has to stand for a minute or something and hold on to the railing or the little column that we have out there that's holding up the ceiling, the roof of the back porch. And he'll stand there for a few minutes because he doesn't have the energy or strength right now to be picking up that fucking chair, let alone carrying it over there and putting it back where Robert should put it back, is what I'm getting at. Robert should put it back. When he moves it over there, when he's done for the night and he goes in for the night, he should have the courtesy for everybody else that uses it, like Krist, by putting it back where it originally was sitting. Now, sometime when I'm out at a thrift store or something, and I can fit the thing in the car easy enough, I will get another chair to put out there. I will put my name and apartment information on it, and I'll be like, this is for everybody, but nobody better ever take this chair, because the first time I come out here and it's gone, I won't buy another one, because I didn't buy that chair to give it to somebody else or to give it to one particular person, because if that was my intent, I would have said, here you go. It's for everybody, because there used to be 2 chairs out there, one on this side of the porch, one on this side. The one on this side, even though it's opposite of what I'm actually showing. Like if I was standing looking out the back, behind me is the north. That way is the east, south, and then west. Okay. But if he's gonna take it over there, that's fine. Just have the courtesy of putting it back. But the 2 that used to be out there, apparently one of them got broke or something. And it was the one that sat right next to the grill out there, because we have a grill out there on the back porch that's been there as long as I can remember. It's like ever since I first moved in here, that grill has been sitting out there. It don't work. It's like succumbed to the elements over years and years of, sitting out there. Even though it's on a covered porch, it can still get, rain can blow in on it. And if it doesn't get dried off or whatever, and it don't have a tarp on it or anything covering it to protect it, so the rain after a while can start rusting it out and get it to a point to where we can't use it anymore, because mostly what it's used for is the 2 little areas on the side to set stuff, like when you're out there chilling and stuff, you want somewhere to set your drink, or you want somewhere to set your pipe or your weed or whatever, and you're just sitting out there chilling with neighbors and whatnot. So those shelves come in handy as long as you're sitting on that side of the porch. But if you're sitting on the other side of the porch, then you don't have anywhere to set your stuff, because I am not going to set a table out there for somebody to take it, because around this area, anything you set outside, you better make damn sure that it's something you can part with, because there's no guarantee it'll be there tomorrow when you wake up. That's why I will never, as much as I would love to do it, I will never put up Halloween decorations or any kind of seasonal decorations on the outside of this building, either in the front of the building or the back, because I can't trust that somebody won't come and steal it just to be an asshole. So bear with me. The way I read, because it also gives me a break, keeps me from, so much eye strain, because I'm reading through an entire chapter, and these chapters, some of them are kind of lengthy, but I'm also doing it in segments, because I'm hoping, Noah, my son, that you and any of your friends that are hopefully learning from my method of teaching this way, you can absorb what you've heard so far. You can write down notes if there's a certain phrase you heard me say, or a certain thing that I mentioned, or something or another that you don't understand, you want a little more detail about or something, then I'll be like, oh, okay, no problem. And, I'll wait until the end of the session, and then I'll be like, okay, questions, is there anything you guys would like me to try to explain? Type it in the little chat window over here and I'll do my best. But again, I can't promise or guarantee that I'm going to have all the answers, because I don't. But what if it's something I know something about, like I've always said, and I still stand by this and always will, I will do the best to explain something. But if it's something I don't know anything about, there's always a way to find out. Like there's always, I could research online and say, oh, okay, that's what that means. Or, oh, okay, I get this now. I understand this concept. So take your notes. Try to absorb little by little. That way, because let's face it, man, like when you have ADHD and autism, you have a hard time keeping focus. A lot of times you're restless. You can't, you're always fidgeting and moving about. But on a more fun note here for a minute, this is my little coffin shaped purse I got from Temu, and yes, it's a black rose on it. This is basically just a little clutch purse. You can put a wallet in there. You can put keys, but if you're going to do wallet, do like a small billfold. I already know what one I'm going to put in mine. I'm going to put my Baphomet wallet in there. And also, I can't wear this very much because it hurts the head. But I'll put it on. Well, I'll do it like this so you guys can see it. This was my real pretty black and gold crown that I got myself from Temu. And this is some of this, I guess they made up for, making me wait so long. But as you see, it sits kind of high up. And because it's metal, and me being tender-headed, I can only wear it for like a short period of time. And then it starts kind of like having a rubber band around your head that just keeps tightening. My skull can't handle the pressure, and it starts getting to get uncomfortable after a while. I also got protection spells and a witch's herbal codex. Now, this don't have all the herbs in it. It has some of the more common ones, but in the back, it has these sections, see, where you can write your own stuff, and you can put in herbs that maybe aren't mentioned in the book or whatever, have fun with it. Make it your own. And especially if it's a way that can help you to absorb what you're hearing and reading and listening to. I know that it's hard for us to keep our focus. I'm the same exact way. That's why a lot of times I go random and I try to warn people when I'm going to go random, because I will lose you. You'll be like, wait a minute, what, time out, back up. You were talking about this 20 minutes ago. Now, what are we talking about? It's confusing because there's so much information. Sometimes there's so much knowledge and so much wisdom that just comes out, and I'm not trying to be a motor mouth or, constantly bah, 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 and not even take a moment to take a breath. I got me some makeup. I got me 3 different colors. I got a pretty garnet color. It's just eyeshadow, powder eyeshadow, and 2 different colors of green. I'm going over again in my mind, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So it was just roughly like a handful of items, but I will give Temu this. Thank you guys for honoring my wishes and respecting my suggestions about having your drivers call me and let me know when they're about to be at my door, whether it's the front or the back. Doesn't matter, because I'm not always looking out the window. But if they come out front and that's easier for them, and I totally get that. But it can at least take a handful of seconds to call me, say, hey, I got a delivery for you down here. I'm from GoFo. I got your Temu stuff. And then okay, I'll be right down. I go down, I open the door, they give me my stuff, and I'm always courteous with them, you know? And I also got my Capricorn wallet, but it's in the car. I kind of forgot it. But, like I said, today's been very busy. So, welcome to my world. Welcome to my life. It's so exhausting sometimes. And I also try to remind myself probably a little too often, but I can't help it. Right now, it's helping me. So I just go with it. When things get busy, witchy, crazy, like I'm always talking, I remind myself, now you know what your daughter goes through in a day, except the differences being friends having problems, want to come and talk, let's go hang out, let's go do something. Shit's going wrong at work, things are not going right at fair, you and your lady have had a fight, or you and your partner have had an argument, and it's making everybody in a bad mood, and it's like, please don't do that to yourselves, and don't do it to each other. If you are exhausted and you've had a really busy, crazy day, like I often do, then it helps me to not, take it so personally, like I have a bad habit of doing. That my daughter just don't care, that, I'm like less important to her than Krist. And I know that's simply not true. That's just my not so good way of saying I wish that she would have more time for me. That's all. But she is a grown woman. She's living her life. I mean, I'm doing the best to live mine. I'm taking on this new venture and this new journey and path of becoming a caregiver. But at least I want to do it right. And I want to do it for Krist, because to make up for all the times where I feel like I failed, where I wasn't supportive enough, where I just stopped doing anything around here because I was trying to drive him away. So during my times when I become random, that is just one of many that I have discovered reading books from the library about ADHD and diagnostics in women. ADHD affects women differently than it affects guys. Doesn't mean there ain't going to be a lot of similarities between the two, but there's going to be differences. Notice the differences. Don't focus on the male mentality of this is the way it is. No, there's a female side to this. And the books that I have read so far have stated more than once that because it is difficult to diagnose in women because of how differently it affects us, when you're sitting there reading a book that you have literally picked up for the first time in your life, and you're seeing yourself in everything it's saying, it's like, oh my God, I do that. Oh, that's why I do that. Oh, wow, I'm ADHD. Holy shit. But then other pieces of the puzzle start making sense. No wonder my kids have it. They've gotten part of it, at least part of it from me, and any of their dads that are like that. Yeah. it makes sense. It can be genetic. It can be bloodline, all kinds of stuff. So it's really helped me a lot. And one of the books that I plan on getting here in the future, as soon as I can, I'm going to go up to Half Price Books, and they're going to love me that day. I'm telling you what. They are going to love me, because I am going to spend a lot. When I get my first big check, I'm going to go crazy. I will put some of it back though, because I need to go through my wallet, and I need to organize my cards better. Like the ones that don't have anything on them right now, maybe put them in a different wallet that I'm not using, but keep it near me. And then when I do finally, it's like, okay, I want to put some money on this for a rainy day. I've got, my self card, my Open Sky, my Dave card, my One card. It literally says One on it. And I haven't put anything on that since I bought it like months ago, like this past summer. And I've been meaning to get that loaded and try to start putting $20 on it every month. And I'm going to keep after myself and keep saying that until I do it. Because So I know, I mean, without a doubt, I know I am ADHD. I just found out myself when I read those books, and what inspired me to even pick up a book on autism and ADHD was because of my son Noah, that has both. And he's 20 years old. I hope you had a good birthday, son. I'm smoking this for you, and I'm sorry that we couldn't physically get together, but that doesn't mean that we can't do something special later on. Have some kind of a special weekend or something together. Who knows? We'll see. Because now that it's going into fall and the weather's getting colder, and the nights are going to be chillier, so you got to dress warmer. But right now, there's just too much in a lot of people's lives that is just going crazy. Some of us have the strength to get through it. Some of us just don't. Like, there's days when we're literally so exhausted, we're like, oh shit, okay, I got to get up and do something, however small. I got to get up and do something because I can't make this a sitting day, because then I'm just going to sit here and fall asleep. Come on, Kalika, if you want to come up. Come on. Come on. Anyway, so when I'm done drinking my water, then I will finally be able to drink some more of my Pepto-Bismol. Now that I ate those chips, my stomach's kind of, oh, okay, you've given us some food now. Come on. Come and see Mama. So tomorrow, I will definitely get my Capricorn wallet out of the car, and I will definitely start using it. Because I love it. It's adorable. It's got pretty colors on it, and it doesn't always have to be rainbow colors either to, make me happy. I also need to get together a bag and make sure, if I forget, guys, and I'm asking my spirits this, if I forget, remind me to take his earbuds and take his charger and put it in a bag, and make sure that I leave it in the car so that when I do go up to see him, I can bring him his stuff. And I will try to make it up there tomorrow sometime. And he said, you don't even have to stay long, dear, if you don't want. He said, just, even if you're up there long enough to give me my stuff and you want to stay for like a handful of minutes or an hour, that's fine. But when I talked to him earlier today, he's doing really good. He sounded completely like himself. I don't know what meds they've got him on, other than he said that they've got him on antibiotics or steroids or something again, because they're trying to clear out this, whatever this latest thing is that caused him to get put in there yesterday. It's like, damn. But see, sometimes another thing I like about these crowns is if you're careful, you can run it through your hair in such a way that it'll hold it on there, and it doesn't put all that pressure on your scalp. But the reason why there's always like so many pillows up against my back, which right now, believe it or not, there's 3, and then I'm sitting on 2, is because the way this couch is made and the way my body is right now, I cannot sit on this couch without sitting on these pillows, because it starts making my hips go numb if I don't sit on the pillows and stuff. Plus with my back issues and my shoulder and, the trouble spots I have on my back, I have to have that support, because leaning back like this is not good. It's not good for your spine. And then, I've got, chronic lower back pain already. So I definitely don't want to add to it if I can help it. So yeah, in the end, let me get back to Temu. In the end, they came through this time, and hopefully this will not be an issue anymore. And as long as they promise that they will remind themselves, until it comes second nature to them, that when you're ready to be at my door, call me and say, hey, this is your GoFo driver. I'm here with your stuff from Temu. And then I'll come right down and I'll open the door and I'll get my stuff. courteous. It froze up for a minute there. Um, See, we've been on here an hour and 25 minutes, 30 some odd seconds. But it's like 15 till midnight. So, I might be ending things here soon because I'm pretty tired and exhausted. And I at least I read a few more pages of the Teen Witch. And, to me, that is, I never specified, that this live was not suitable for kids. I did specify not suitable for kids simply because there's going to be terminologies and stuff that I'm going to use in these live streams that some people can take the wrong way, or some parents can get pissed off about, or something like that. What are you, don't be talking like that around my kid, and I just don't need the hassle. I don't need the trolls. I don't need the bullshit. So I have to be careful. So I hope that YouTube isn't going to violate me or anything, or give me any violations for teaching this way, because it's free. I'm trying to, I can't commit to it and do it on a basis like a teacher would or anything. It's not a school or anything of that sort. I'm just trying to enlighten those out there that maybe are curious about something like Wicca, and doesn't necessarily mean they're going to join or become Wiccan. But even if they don't, that's fine. Just at least they'll have a better understanding of it, so that when somebody's having a conversation about Wiccan stuff, they can be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Or, oh yeah, I know what that means. My mom's been teaching me, and she's doing a good job. So I'm trying to go easy. I'm trying to take my time with it, not be in any kind of a rush to, read a single entire chapter in a day. Because the only way that I could probably do that is I would have to do it first thing, and I would have to do the live stream during a time in the day when there's too much activity going around me, and too much noise and chaos, and me yelling at the cats, because sometimes I can't tell when they're playing with, chasing each other and playing, as opposed to they're picking on Boo again, and it's a nightmare sometimes. So Zephyr, my dear darling daughter, if you ever at some point in the future fall across any of these YouTube videos or live streams, or your brother Noah shares them with you, I try to include you too, because even though you're not in the teen bracket, you're a full-grown woman. And even though Noah turned 20 today, I still think, because of his autism and his ADHD, that it's easier to do it exactly the way I'm doing it. That way, you don't have to commit to, okay, I got to be on a certain time every day, because there could be things going on in his life, just like things go on in my life, that right now, this is just the best I've got. But I love you, Zephyr. I hope that you do find your way to some of these. I hope they help you in some way. Or maybe you have some young people that are curious, or they're looking for a teacher. Guide them to these videos, guide them to these live streams, where all I'm trying to do is help people to develop an understanding about the true meaning and purpose of witchcraft. It's what you make it. Just like any religion out there that exists today, it's what you make it. It's what you put into it. Don't just follow along with everybody else because that's what is expected. Be yourself, be your individual you, but don't, if somebody judges or criticizes you, or makes you feel judged or criticized, you owe it to yourself to stand up for your rights. And I'm not saying be a jerk about it or be a bitch about it or anything like that. Be as gentle as you can, but firm. Could you please not say that? Because that offends me. That hurts my feelings when you say that, because you don't understand what is really going on here. If you would take the time to listen to one of my mother's teachings, you would be able to determine for yourself that it's not evil. If you're going to call Wicca evil, then you might as well call every religion out there evil. Nobody gets a free pass here other than freedom of religion. But if you can't talk positively about a certain religion, or if you have issues about a certain religion, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to develop insight into developing an understanding of it so that at least you know what it really is. And that's going to take stress off of you. That it's like, look, mom, it's not like I'm joining. I was curious. I read a few books about it. Now I understand it. That's the end of it. Because parents, in essence, being a parent myself, we are trying to help our children for the most part, no matter how old they are. Even though some of them tower over us, it's like my son Michael, he's like 6'5". I'm a midget next to him. It's just like, are you going to stop growing sometime soon? Because, I'm starting to feel like the tinier and tinier here. So I hope that this brings back some happy memories, Alicia. Just wait until we get to the really fun parts, and that's like the spells, because there are spells in here. You guys are going to love the ice giant spell. And Noah, honey, I recommend and suggest, I'm not saying you have to do it, just something to think about, something easy for you to do. When I do the frost giant spell or the ice giant spell, it is so simple. You can do it with no problem. The only drawback is to do it proper, you have to leave the item in the freezer. It can never be taken out. Because if it's taken out of that freezer, find another one to keep it in. Find something that you can keep it in where it will never be disturbed, because if it starts to melt, then the power will wane and then you'll have to cast it again. You take a piece of paper. I think there's like supposedly a certain color thing that you have to use, but even if it's simple notebook paper and that's all you've got, that's fine. You don't have to use a pen. You can use a pencil. Heck, if all you got is a crayon, you can use a crayon. The symbol is just like a small L. It's just a straight up and down line. And that is the symbol for Isa, which through the German Futhark runes means ice. You write down the name of the item or the thing that is giving you trouble, the thing that is giving you grief. You write it down on the paper, you put it in a baggie, you fill it with water, you toss it in the freezer and say as loud as you can, but I mean, don't go overboard. You don't have to scream it till you're hoarse, but just very, very firm. Chill out. And as you throw it in there, chill out. And then it'll get people to back off. You can use it for bullying. You can use it for when you feel like you're not being understood or too much stuff is coming at you at once. And it's a certain person that's overwhelming you because they're trying to cram too much in and your brain's going, stop. My head's going to explode. I don't know how things are with you and Ted, Noah. I hope they're still okay. I haven't really asked or anything yet. So I don't know if you're still living with your brother or if you was able to get to a point where you're living back with Corey. But, as long as you're happy and, you are trying to make yourself, straighten out, you're trying to be, more realistic about things, develop an understanding of yourself and how to, start learning ways to manage your ADHD and your autism. Because when you have other friends, and I know you do, that are ADHD and autism, you guys can help each other, and that's still helping, and that's all good. So Zephyr, I love you. I hope that you are still very much a witch. I really wish I could get up there to see you, honey, but I get it. You're a busy lady. I mean, look at a typical day that I go through. I can certainly relate. I would, however, I need to get this across to her. I would like her to, the next time I talk to her on the phone, especially, or I leave a voicemail or text or both, please, please, please send me your home address so I can start writing to you, so I can reach out more in a non-invasive way. Like I'll just, I've got all these blank postcards. I want to use them. I don't want them to sit around if they're not going to be used, because then I feel like I've wasted the money that I did to get them. And also I wanted to say to Corey, and Noah, you can pass this on to her. Thank you, Corey, for doing your very best, trying to give my son a good, structured, stable life, responsibilities, chores, duties, doing the right thing. making, better, more positive changes for yourself. I can certainly relate what it must have been like for you to raise my son with all the difficulties that he has, because I mean, I have them too. Thank you. I can appreciate you more now than I ever have before, because I went through it myself. And in so doing, the good of it, of course, was it made up for some lost time. The bad was I gave it my best shot, but this has got to stop or I'm going to end up in the hospital next. And if I end up in the hospital, then everybody's screwed, because then that strength, that anchor, that rock that I try to be for people that I love and care about is just gone, because I lose my shit. I go loco, no go loco. I don't want to go loco. That has always been a great fear of mine, that I'm going to end up spending my last days in a mental institution out of my fucking head, like my dad did, and like I had to witness him go through when I was only 14 years old. I've never been so terrified in my life as I was that day, that moment in time. And I've already talked about it, so I won't bring it up again. But long and short of it is, seeing how destroyed my father was, totally defeated, broken down, a sniveling mess, crying about a woman that I didn't even know existed until I said something to Mom, and somehow it was made known that, oh yeah, that was Mary's sister. Mary was his wife, my dad's wife, when he was still living. Sadly, he is the one that came home and found her passed away in their bed one day, and it messed him up. He grabbed a box full of his stuff and left, and he called his attorney or whatever and said, come and deal with this. I just came home and found my wife dead. I can't stay here anymore. Me and my dad are, now that he's in spirit, and he has been since I was the age of 20. So we're talking, 50 minus 20 is 40, 30. So 30 years ago, thereabouts. I was 20 years old and I could not even go to our father's funeral. And I really wish that I would have been able to, because that would have given me closure that I, could have really been helpful back then. But I was 8 months pregnant with Michael, and I was not safe. It was not safe for me to travel the distance in a car that I would have had to that I ended up having to travel. For instance, when I went with Ron and Naomi, when Ron was still here, and they took me to the mental institution where Dad was, sat me at a round table in the room with all the crazies, no offense to anybody, or any of them, certainly, and waited for my dad to come out of a room and come over and sit down with me. And he started crying. He started talking about someone named Janet Henry. I didn't know what to think. And it really traumatized me to see him in such a not okay state of mind. And Naomi and Ron just left me there, walked out of the room, and I'm sitting there with all the crazies around me, waiting for my dad to walk through the door. Man, I have never been so scared in my life. And going through it once is quite enough. And it hurts the worst when it's somebody you love, when it's a parent, it's an uncle, it's an aunt, it's a cousin, it's a, sister, brother, who knows. But to see them go through it is just, it's horrible. And I would not wish it on anybody, but such is life, life, death, rebirth, being born, going through another life, and then repeating the process, until your spirit has come back enough that you have learned enough that you have, in fact, yourself evolved to a higher level of consciousness, which is a good thing. And it is pretty much midnight. So I'm going to go ahead and end this live. So Noah, I hope that you are, remembering to come and, keep tabs on the live streams, because I am still trying to read this book to you. But even if you don't, that's okay. I'm not mad or anything. Just at some point in the future, when you can do it without it causing a problem, get your own copy of Teen Witch and just start using it. That'll be your first study book. Because even though you just turned 20, you're still, because of your mentality and stuff and the ADHD and the autism, and again, I'm not cutting you down, okay? So don't think that. I love you, truly. I'll always be your mom, Do right for yourself. Get yourself right. Get yourself together. Get your shit together. Get yourself stable. Get yourself a job, all the things that, be able to get your first apartment, furnish it the way you want. Have a nice little car to drive around, you can't realistically expect it to be a fancy smancy car, because that comes over time. And depending on how hard you apply yourself and work towards that goal. But blessed be. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out, listening, watching. Hopefully I'm inspiring a lot of people in a positive way. I'm sorry that my videos aren't more entertaining than I've been able to do so far, but apparently I'm doing okay, or YouTube's okay with the way I do things, or they would have already taken a lot of these lives away, or these live streams, or made me just like cut me out altogether to where I'd have to start all over again. And I don't want to go through that. It's taken me a long time to build up this channel. I still hope at some point in the future I can figure out how to get into my Janelle Mabius one. But even if I don't, oh well, it's not worth stressing over. So I love you guys. Blessed be. Stay wild, Moonchild. And see you next time. Bye.